Everyone expected a safe, polished interview, but within minutes, Meghan Markle and Savannah Guthrie turned a quiet studio into the most volatile confrontation of Meghan's post-royal life. Soft lights, 2 chairs, 2 microphones, nothing else to hide behind. Savannah adjusted her notes once, then looked up as the door opened. "Meghan, hi," she greeted, standing. "Thank you for doing this." Meghan stepped in with a controlled half smile. No wave, no small talk, just a nod. "I agreed because I was told this would be a conversation," she said. Not another performance. There was no joke in her tone, no lightness. "So that's the goal," she replied. "A real conversation, no filters. We'll see," Meghan murmured, taking her seat. The red light above the camera blinked on. Savannah took a breath, shoulders relaxed, voice sliding into the familiar anchor cadence people trusted. "Meghan," she began, "since stepping away from royal life, you've been described in so many ways. Activist, disruptor, victim, visionary. When you sit here today, how do you describe yourself?" Meghan didn't rush. "I describe myself," she said slowly, "as someone who's done being edited into other people's narratives. I'm tired of explaining why I exist. That's what most interviews try to do. Edit you into something?" "Of course," Meghan replied. "They already have the headline before I walk in. I'm just the footage they cut around it." "And this one?" Savannah asked gently. "Do you think that's what's happening here?" Meghan's eyes stayed on her. "I guess we'll find out by the kind of questions you ask." A tiny pause. Not long enough to be awkward, just long enough for everyone in the room to feel the first shift. "All right," Savannah said. "Let's start with something simple. How has life in America changed you?" "Nothing about my life is simple, Savannah," she replied. "But America gave me space. Not freedom from judgment, that never ends. Just freedom from pretending I don't see it." "Pretending you don't see it," Savannah repeated. "You mean the criticism? The coverage?" "The obsession," Meghan corrected. "People don't consume stories about me. They consume assumptions, and then they call it truth." Savannah leaned in slightly. "Do you think the public has never really seen the real you?" "No," Meghan said flatly. "They've seen the edited version. The hurt is real. The work is real. But the way it's framed, that's rarely mine." Savannah glanced at her notes, then back up, choosing her next step carefully. "You've spoken about reclaiming your voice," she said. "Do you feel like you've done that, or are you still fighting for it?" Meghan came faster this time. "Reclaiming my voice isn't the problem," she said. "Getting people to stop twisting it is." The temper explosive yet, but the ground between them was no longer neutral. Savannah folded her hands, her tone still calm. "Then let's try to untwist it," she said. "On your terms, and mine." What Savannah asked next sounded gentle on tape, but in the room, everyone felt it land like the first real test of Meghan Markle's patience. "Let's talk about what you walked away from," Savannah said. "You left one of the most powerful institutions on earth. When you look back at the monarchy now, what do you feel? Anger? Relief? Anything at all?" Meghan's eyes didn't move from her. "What I feel," she said, "is clarity. I walked away from something that needed me silent, and I refused to be silent." "Do you think they needed you silent?" Savannah asked. "Or just less public?" Meghan's expression sharpened by a fraction. "That's the same thing," she replied. "People don't say, 'be quiet.' They say, 'tone it down.' They say, 'be grateful.' They say, 'stop making waves.' It all means disappear politely." Savannah nodded slowly. "Some people would say you didn't disappear at all," she countered. "Interviews, a documentary, a book? Critics argue that you've left, but never really left the conversation." Meghan let out a breath that wasn't quite a laugh. "Is that a question?" she asked. "Or a nicely worded accusation?" "It's a question," Savannah said calmly. "Do you feel you're still part of that system by talking about it?" "No," Meghan replied. "I feel I'm finally not trapped inside it. There's a difference between being used as a symbol and using your story to heal." "And do you feel healed?" Savannah asked quietly. A beat passed. "I feel aware," Meghan said. "Healed is what people want me to say so they can stop feeling uncomfortable." Savannah studied her for a moment. "Uncomfortable how?" "Uncomfortable with the idea," Meghan said, that maybe the fairy tale was always a little rotten on the inside. It's easier to say I'm bitter than to admit the palace wasn't a dream. Savannah's voice stayed even. Some would argue that you knew what you were stepping into. And some would be wrong, Meghan shot back. You can Google a title. You can't Google what it feels like to be stripped down to one. Savannah didn't look away. When you say stripped down, she asked, do you mean by the institution or by the press? Both, Meghan answered. The institution decides what you are. The press decides what you look like being it. Either way, you lose yourself. Savannah glanced briefly at her notes, then closed the folder altogether. Okay, she said. Then let me bring this to something more personal. Away from palaces, away from headlines. You're a mother now. Do you ever worry that all of this, the interviews, the controversy, will become their story too? The first time, something flickered in Meghan's face that wasn't pure steel. I worry, she said slowly, that no matter what I do, people like you will still ask that question. Pun predict. People like me? Savannah repeated. Journalists, Meghan clarified. Hosts, commentators. The ones who say they respect boundaries until the red light is on. Savannah kept her tone soft. I didn't ask for their names or their faces, she said. I asked about your fear as a parent. And I'm telling you, Meghan replied, my fear is this exact moment, sitting here, knowing that whatever I say about my children becomes another clip for strangers to dissect. Savannah let that sit for a second. Is there anything about motherhood you do want to share? She asked, on your own terms. Meghan folded her hands, her voice cooling again. Yes, she said, that my children are not content. They're not characters. They're not emotional background props for someone else's narrative arc, including yours. That line hung in the air, heavy, deliberate. Savannah's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I don't see them as props, she said quietly. I see them as part of your life. And I think people watching do too. People watching, they're entitled to me. I'm not here to feed that. Savannah inhaled slowly, then chose a different path. All right, she said. Let's leave your children out of this. Let's talk about you and Harry as partners. Some say you've built a brand together that's bigger than either of you alone. Is that fair? Meghan's lips curved into a thin, controlled smile. Is that your way of asking if I exist without my husband? She said. Because if it is, you might want to rethink how you ask women questions in 2025. What came out of Savannah's mouth next didn't just push the interview forward. It pushed straight into the part of Meghan's story she rarely lets anyone touch. I'm not questioning whether you exist without Harry, Savannah replied evenly. I'm asking whether you feel the world allows you to. Meghan's eyes narrowed slightly. The world never allows women anything, she said. We take it, and then we're punished for it. Punished how? Savannah asked. Relics, called difficult, ungrateful, manipulative, Meghan listed. Or we're reduced to someone's wife, someone's problem, someone's headline. Pick your poison. Savannah held her gaze. Do you feel that's what's happening right now? She asked. In this room? I feel, Meghan answered, that you're circling the same narratives I've tried to move past. You might be using softer words, but it's the same orbit. Savannah's voice stayed calm, but it had steel now. If I didn't ask these questions, she said, people would say I gave you a free pass, that I didn't do my job. Oh, your job, Meghan echoed. The job that always seems to require picking at the same wounds. Or, Savannah countered, the job that asks why those wounds keep reopening. There was the briefest silence. Not empty, charged. Is that your angle? Meghan said quietly. That I'm the common denominator in my own mistreatment? I'm asking, Savannah replied, if you ever wonder what part of this story you control and what part you keep reliving. Meghan shook her head once, almost in disbelief. Do you hear yourself? She asked.
You frame it like I'm addicted to my own pain, like speaking about it is some kind of performance. I frame it, Savannah said, like someone who's watched you describe very different institutions, Hollywood, the monarchy, the media, with very similar words. That's because abuse doesn't change its costume, Meghan shot back, just the logo on the door. And if everyone watching, Savannah asked, heard that and thought, does Meghan ever look inward too? What would you say to them? I'd say they're asking the wrong woman, Meghan replied. They should be asking why they're more interested in my reaction than what caused it. Savannah leaned a fraction closer. Is it possible, she asked, that some people are interested in both? What happened to you and how you respond when anyone touches it? Meghan's response was instant. What I find interesting, she said, is how people like to dress judgment up as curiosity. Help us understand. Share your truth. It sounds compassionate. It feels like a cross-examination. I'm not cross-examining you, Savannah said softly. I'm trying to get past the press releases, to the person. The person, Meghan repeated. The person everyone thinks they're entitled to diagnose from their couch. Or, Savannah said, not backing off, the person who's built a platform on being heard and is furious every time someone asks a question she doesn't like. Meghan's eyes flashed. Kamal, she demanded, that I'm just furious? That this is about me not liking questions? I think, Savannah replied carefully, that there's a difference between hard questions and hostile intent, and sometimes you seem to treat them as the same thing. Meghan's voice dropped, colder now. And sometimes, she said,
People in your chair hide hostility under the word journalism and expect me to smile while they do it. And sometimes, Savannah answered, matching her quiet intensity, people in your chair call any accountability an attack and expect everyone to applaud that too. The moment Savannah stopped sounding like a neutral moderator and started sounding like someone who'd finally had enough, the entire energy of the room tilted. It too. So now this is about accountability? She asked, eyebrows raised. That's the word we're using? It's one of them, Savannah replied, along with honesty, consistency, things people look for when they're trying to decide what to believe. Crimson leaned in slightly. And you think I'm inconsistent? She pressed. Is that it? I think, Savannah said carefully, that you've told pieces of your story in different places, at different times, with different emphases. That's human. But it also means people have questions. People always have questions, Meghan shot back. About me, about my motives, about my tone. Somehow the system that hurt me is less suspicious than the woman who left it. Some people, Savannah replied, see a pattern. Hollywood, the royal family, the press, former colleagues, former friends. Different worlds, same ending. They didn't treat you right. Do you understand why that raises eyebrows? Jaw tightened. Yes, she said slowly, because it's easier to doubt the woman than to admit how many systems are broken. And is it completely impossible, Savannah asked, that both could be true? That systems failed you, and that maybe, sometimes, the way you handle conflict makes it worse? Meghan stared at her. That's convenient, she said. Blame the victim. Sprinkle on some nuance so it sounds thoughtful. I'm not blaming you, Savannah answered. I'm asking if you ever sit with that question, privately, when there are no cameras. When there are a lot of questions, Meghan replied, like why people are more outraged by my boundaries than by the abuse that created them. Savannah didn't look away. Do you see this as a boundary? She asked, pushing back on every uncomfortable topic until the only safe thing to say is what you've already rehearsed? What I see, Meghan said, is a journalist trying to corner me into an admission that makes a great headline. Maybe I'm the problem. And you're saying that's impossible? Savannah asked quietly. I'm saying, Meghan replied, that if I were the problem, people wouldn't work so hard to silence me. They'd just ignore me. Savannah exhaled through her nose, steady. Some would argue they don't silence you, she said. They amplify you. Every interview, every project, every statement becomes breaking news. You have more reach than most world leaders. Does any part of you feel a responsibility to use that reach without always framing yourself as the injured party? Meghan's laugh was short and humorless. So now I'm, what, emotionally irresponsible? She said. Too loud about what hurt me?
Not polite enough in my trauma? I'm saying, Savannah replied, that there's a difference between naming harm and living inside it forever. And people are starting to wonder which one you're doing. Meghan's voice dropped. People, she repeated. Critics with platforms, anonymous accounts, or you. I'm sitting in front of you, Savannah said, asking to your face what everyone else says behind your back. Isn't that the kind of honesty you say you want? What you're calling honesty, Meghan replied, feels like a carefully worded way to ask if I'm the common thread in my own suffering. Savannah didn't flinch. I'm asking, she said, if you're ever willing to examine that thread yourself, or if everyone else will always be the villain in your story. The silence after Savannah's last line stretched thin, neither of them willing to look away. Meghan spoke first. You really think this is accountability? This interrogation disguised as empathy? Savannah's voice stayed calm but low. I think this is what honesty looks like when it isn't curated. Meghan gave a short laugh. Honesty? You mean entertainment. You're not looking for truth, Savannah. You're looking for a headline. And you're looking for control, Savannah said quietly. Control over every word, every question, every reaction. Meghan leaned forward. Because I've seen what happens when I don't have it. I get that, Savannah said, softer now. But control isn't clarity. Sometimes it's just fear in a prettier outfit. For the first time, Meghan didn't reply. Her stare broke. A breath. Then she stood, unhooking her microphone with a sharp tug. You got what you came for, she said. Savannah didn't move. Maybe not, she murmured. Maybe what I wanted was the truth. Just once, without armor. Meghan paused at the door. Then you should have asked a different woman. The door clicked shut. The cameras kept rolling.